Today I will show you how to read Madden 24 defenses and what routes beat every type of defense, zone or man. I am a running Madden player. I only pass when needed, but when I do, knowing what defense my opponent is in has helped me to succeed a lot. I will show you 3 simple steps to figure out what defense you are up against. I will be using one play that has routes that beat every defense: cover 1, cover 2 man, cover 2 zone, cover 3, and cover 4. I will also show you how defenses look if it's pressed. If you like Madden 24 tip videos like this, subscribe and turn your notifications on so you will not miss next video. Relax! Let's get into the video. Now for cover 1, it looks similar to cover 3 because there's a single high safety. Now the single high safety looks the same for cover 3. But next we would look at cornerbacks. Look at how far they're off the line of scrimmage. As you can see, the cornerback on the left is about 8 yards off the line of scrimmage. Cornerback on the right is about 5 yards off the line of scrimmage. But if you motion him out, he should go to about 8 yards, the same as the other one. Bring him over. So right now, we know at least it's a cover 3 or cover 1. Now, after we motion that guy out, if we motion a receiver across the formation and a defender follows, it's a man defense. Therefore, with the single high safety, we know this is a cover 1 defense. What beats cover 1 defenses? Out routes, long crossing routes, in routes. So every one of these routes, except for the square route and the triangle route, beats cover 1 defenses. Usually, it's good pressing in this defense, so you got to be careful. But if you have patience and you have good receivers, they can beat the press. This is random cover 1. So you see R1 is getting pressed, but we have patience. We can get him out here and you can get that long crossing route. The only thing that can mess this defense up after you diagnose it is the user. The user can take away these routes, but the in route also. If we're patient and we wait, that in route, that long in route that takes time to develop downfield, that is open. So every one of these routes is open. X, you can get him open against man defense. Now, if they come out pressed in a cover 1 defense, as you can see right here, they're directly in front but slightly lined up to the outside. Directly in front of the outside shoulder of those receivers. Okay? When they're pressed, this is a cover 1 press defense. We motioned him over. We saw he followed. So we know it's man-to-man. The single high safety lets us know that it's a cover 3 or a cover 1. Right there, we know that it's a cover 1 defense. Now, typically for a cover 3 defense, they'll have a single high safety. There are some cover 3s that have the safeties lined up in the back. It'll be a person playing a zone beneath, but he'll be lined up and it'll seem like it's a cover 2 or a cover 4 type defense because you have 2 safeties. It can be a cover 2 man also. So that's the only confusing part. Cover 3 and cover 4 and cover 2 can be kind of difficult, but when we motion, you can tell, and we can look at the cornerbacks next. So the single high safety, it's either cover 1 or cover 3, we can tell in this case. Okay, next we'll look at the depth of the receivers. Again, 8 to 9 yards off the ball. Okay, those cornerbacks are lined up that far. We'll motion a receiver over. If he's followed, we know it's a man. If it doesn't, it's a zone. Therefore, we can diagnose this as a cover 3 zone play. Okay? What if they press? If they press that defense, we can still do the same 2 steps. Still notice this is a single high safety, pressed, they're directly lined up again, similar to the cover one man, slightly to the outside, not directly over in front. Okay, now what routes beat this? The same thing as before. The X route, depending on if they're playing depending on if you're playing Harrison Smith, but that X route, if they're not playing hard flats, you can get that pass off. Also, that long crossing route by the R1 receiver, as long as you have patience, you can get that in there. That end route, that torch man. In this play, if you have patience, pass lead up top, right there. You can get that route in there as well. Also in cover 3, flood concepts work really good. Okay, we have Z-spot in here. Okay, we can set up the typical flood concept, and we'll do a high-low read with R1 and X. High-low read with R1 and X. Just like that. Okay, now we're looking at a cover 2 man defense. You'll have 2 deep safeties that are in control of the deep half of the field. One safety is control of the deep half on his side, the other is control of the deep half on his side. Now, we'll look at the cornerbacks, okay? In particular, the cornerback on the left over the square receiver. As you see, he's directly in front and he's lined up to the inside. If we motion this receiver out, this guy will come down and line up to the inside, because by default, cover 2 man is inside shaded. So we looked at the 2 safeties, then we look at the cornerbacks. They're directly to the inside, right up close on the line of scrimmage. Okay, then we just motion. If follows, we know it's man defense. Therefore, we'll say this is a cover 2 man defense. Okay, you see right here, the cornerback on the left is pressed, but if we press that defense, you see how right here that cornerback is lined up to the outside, but if we motion him out where he's not congested, he'll line up to the inside. And right there, he's lined up to the inside covering that receiver. So what beats this defense? These same routes, okay? The X route, okay? That beats this. The long crossing routes, okay? The R1 route. As long as you're patient, the R1 route beats this. Now that in route also beats cover 2 man. You just have to make sure you throw it right, okay? Like I said, a lot of this is patience. With inside coverage, you also can use these C routes or corner routes. That's outbreaking to the outside. If you call these against man defense, since their default is playing to the inside, it's going to be a great play. R1, we can get him open, get open. So that's how you beat cover 2 man to man. Now for cover 2 zone play, we look at the 2 safeties. Similar to cover 2 man, okay? Then we would see where these cornerbacks are lined up. We can motion him out. They're lined up about 5 yards off the line of scrimmage, okay? Lastly, we motion the guy over. If it follows, we know it's a man-to-man. If it doesn't, it's a zone. Therefore, with the cornerbacks lined up, 5 yards off, 2 deep safeties, it did not follow. This is a cover 2 zone. This is a cover 2 zone with hard flats, with cloud flats. Okay? So, what beats this? Okay? Now is where we're going to come into this square route. Square route is usually open in a cover 2 zone because those 2 safeties, they have to get out to cover the outside deep halves of that field. Again, if it's not a hard flat, this X route is going to be wide open. Okay? Again, that crossing route with patience, the crossing route is going to be open as well. And we can also look at Z-spot. Z-spot, again, high-low read. They went back there to cover the X. They covered R1, okay? And you just make your decisions, okay? Let's go to the Z spot again against cover 2 zone. We just look at who he's covering. For some reason, they're only covering X. They're only covering R1. So we just make that high-low read, okay? Now, for cover 4 defense, we'll see those 2 high safeties, okay? We'll look at the cornerbacks. This can be kind of misleading. Those cornerbacks, the way they're playing, it can look like a cover 3. It can look like a cover 2. And it also can look like a cover 1. But you'll see that these cornerbacks are going to be directly in front of those receivers. Directly in front. Okay? You streak, you'll see that those cornerbacks are directly in front. If pressed, they'll line up directly in front. Okay? Directly in front. Right here on this right side. He's lined up to the outside a little bit, but once you motion him out, he's directly in front. So that's how you can tell if it's a cover 4 press defense. The other thing I like to do is post snap. If you look at those 2 safeties, they'll usually just back straight up. They won't go out to the outside because the other cornerbacks are covering those 4. There's 4 defensive backs covering 4 deep zones, okay? So you'll see that the cornerbacks that are covering the 2 receivers are going to go to those deep zones, and then those 2 cornerbacks are kind of going to go back and in. So they usually just back straight up or kind of come in. So that's another thing you can tell. Lastly, you would motion that receiver over and you see no one follows. You see a lot of shifting going on sometimes. But no one followed, so we know it's a zone. Therefore, it's a cover 4. What routes beat cover 4? Now, if they're not playing hard flats, this X route, any low incoming drag routes, anything like that, zig routes are usually open. Let's put this guy on a zig. This square. Zig routes are open. Great to beat cover 4 defense. Use drag routes. Put square on a drag route. He gets open in the cover 4 defense because he's in front of all those deep zones. Okay. Also, you can wait for that R1 route. Just wait it out. Wait it out. Okay. Let's throw that again. That long crossing route that R1 is on is also a good thing to beat this coverage. Okay. Get that in there. That incoming route with patience, pass lead down. That long incoming route. So just get patience, pass lead down. Get that in there. That block. Let me just go to this touchdown real quick. Those beat those routes also. Those long outbreaking routes. We can use this play right here. This PA deep. Okay, you see that outbreaking route right there? Usually, if we can get a streak over there, the outbreaking route. And sometimes you might have to put a streak over there. But that outbreaking route, because you can get up under those zones. Let's see, Z spot. Z spot. Let's get that safety to come off by pulling him. And then again, the high-low read. You know we like those high-low reads. Okay. Z spot. You can see that because that safety goes back, you have a chance to get that in there. Cover 4 is a great defense. It's kind of hard to diagnose, but these steps, you should be able to get it with very simple. Also, any of these comeback routes, you know, this triangle route that's coming back, you can also put comeback routes on the field. They were great against cover 4. You also can do combinations like this. You can get him out here. Let's put him on a flat route so we know they'll guard him. Put him on a flat. Okay, and then we can put a comeback on that square route. Okay, they'll come to guard that. Look at the square route. Gonna be wide open. Okay, those work great against cover 3s, cover 4s. You know, these zone. Put him on this right here. Let's see if we can streak that. We've been looking for that R1 route. Hopefully X and stuff pulls it out. R1, and we're able to get that in there. But comeback routes work really good. depending on what type of coverage for they're playing, this long breaking in route is going to be open as well, as we showed you. So that's how you beat that. Now, you got to keep in mind, there are plays such as cover 6, which is a cover 2 and a cover 4, and you have to pay attention to that. When you're playing your opponent, a good 80% of the time, your opponent will come out in a defense and stay in that defense. So that's an easy tell on what defense they're running. So when your opponent comes out in a cover 4 on certain situations, he comes out in a cover 2 on certain situations, he comes out in a cover 1 or a man defense on certain situations, key in on that, and you can therefore diagnose what your opponent's going to run. That's the other tell. Utilize these tips to destroy your opponent and get an unstoppable offense in Madden 24. It's your boy Wayne6578. Yep, I'm outie, but I'll be back.